All right, we got a little panic button time. I know it's the beginning of the year, so why not start with panic? The Suns, 6-15 since they started the whole season, 9-2. 6 of their last 7 have been losses, and they're 11th in the West right now. Lou, panic button time on the Suns season.
Yeah, I think it's time to panic. This is 2 years in a row where a team that we had really high hopes for are just underachieving, not getting it done. It's obviously not a great mix of talent that they've assembled. Throughout this summer, we were saying that the issue was they needed a point guard. They needed somebody to set the table. You bring in Tyus Jones, and he's done just that. He's been a worthy point guard for them. He's given them what they needed at that position. That still hasn't been the part of what they need to be corrected. I think it's just a bad mix of guys. And I think at this point, you got to find somewhere for Bradley Beal to go hoop where he can be Bradley Beal. It just looks like he's not great in this third wheel position where, he's going to be a standstill shooter. He's not in a position to be as creative on the offensive end as we're used to him being. And he's also one of those guys that'll be affected by my New Year's resolution. He's a mid-range game guy. And when you take that out and you play a different style of game, it's going to be hard to get consistent value out of what he was doing. The last game that they played, he was 1 for 5 from the field. At least he should be getting 10 to 15 shots a game. It looked like it's just not happening for him consistently there in Phoenix. And for that, it's time to panic. Starting the season 9-2, they showed you what they could be potentially. And then they fell off from there when you start dealing with some injuries and getting into the rigors of the season. So for that, I'm definitely panicking. It's time for them to switch it up.
And Beal's injuries, too, are just that they plague. Chandler, you're getting the Pelicans. So they've lost I told you they were in a bad place. They've lost 11 straight games, 5-29 on the season. It's the worst record in the league. We obviously know that Zion has not played. He's missed 28 games. Brandon Ingram missed 16 games. There are reports now that finding Brandon Ingram a new home seems to be a top priority for New Orleans. Are you hitting the panic button on the Pelicans?
I am, yeah. And it just seems like a full rebuild's coming. They re-signed Trey. They got him to a long deal, but I think they're all shoppable. I think it obviously starts with Brandon Ingram. This guy didn't sign an extension. This guy, there's always been talks about trade rumors, and now it seems to at least be a priority to kind of get off him, try and get younger assets back. And be in the sweepstakes for one of these top 3 picks with Cooper or Harper or Ace Bailey. So 5-29 is not fun. Zion is just, for whatever reason, franchise himself, personal, why he can't get right. CJ McCollum, they have guys that other teams would probably love to have too. So they do have some assets. They do have still the Herb Joneses and the Alvarado. They still have players that I think would be appealing to other franchises, but it seems like a full-blown rebuild is on the rise in New Orleans.
Ugh, that's a tough one. All right, Lou, you're getting the Raptors. Look, they got a win last night over the Nets. Before that, though, they'd lost 11 straight. Sorry, Nets. 8-26 on the season. They won 48 games during 21-22, which is not that long ago, and they have gotten progressively worse each and every year since. Are you hitting the panic button on the Raptors?
I feel like they got one more season to try to figure this thing out. With the young talent, Scotty Barnes, Emmanuel Quickly, RJ. I really want to see these guys be successful. These are some of the young guys that I got high hopes for, and I'm a big fan of all 3 of those guys, but they got to figure it out. I personally don't want to hit the panic button quite yet. So I'm giving them grace on this segment right here, but it looks bad. They're going to, at some point, somebody's going to have to take a leadership role and try to right this ship. If it's not the players, because we know that these 3 guys are very talented, and there's other guys over there that can hoop at a high level as well. But if it's not the players that you look at, maybe it's time you look at, your coaching or your front office and you kind of retool, But, Toronto is one of those markets. The better the basketball team plays, the better it is for the city and for the morale of Canada in general. So they're going to have to fix this very fast. I don't know if the fans are going to show them as much grace as I'm showing right now, but I wouldn't quite hit the panic button just yet.
Yeah, guys, you know why I'm not hitting the panic button? Because what do we expect this team to be this year? They're not supposed to be good. This team is young. This team is building. They have Barnes, Barrett, Grady Dick. They have guys like Portal, Jacob, whatever, Jacob.
Hurdle.
And who, by the way,
just do what I do. When I don't know a name, I just skip them.
Yeah, right. It's probably
It's like Purtle, like Wordle, Wordle.
I mean, you could probably get a first round pick for him and just continue to build with this core. So I'm not panicking because they're supposed to stink and they stink, but at least they're young and have peace. I'm not panicking. They're exactly doing what we thought they'd do.
That's fair. By the way, seeing the records like in writing though, you're like, man, there's some really bad records. 8-26.
I didn't realize
next
they were
one's
that bad.